Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the news. All right, hey, welcome everyone. It is time for the news. My name is Clyde, and this is Clyde Plays News. Maybe not my smoothest entrance, but welcome. We have got a lot of things to talk about today, all over the spectrum of news. We got new ships, we got a dockyard, we got to talk about the new carrier changes that are coming, and of course we've also, I think this is the right button. Yes, we've got the Golden Barnacle Awards. Please come and join us right here on my Twitch channel. If you're watching this later on YouTube, don't worry, the Barneys will come to YouTube as well. But if you want to watch it live, and I got to tell you, there is so much more energy and it is so much more fun to watch live than it is to watch just, after the fact on YouTube. Come and join us, twitch.tv/Clyde Plays Live for the Golden Barnacle Awards. It's going to be on March 15th, 10 a.m. Pacific time and other times around the world. So take a look at your local calendars, your local listings, and figure out where you are on the time spectrum, on the timey-wimey, Jeremy-Bearmy, whatever it is. Also, go and vote. Right there is the link. If you're watching on YouTube, I will pop that baby into the description of the video. But if you're here on Twitch, you can click on that right now and go vote. I think the number is around, what did I say it was earlier? 290 something. So we need about 45 more votes to compete with last year. We are at 293 votes right now. So we need 45, maybe 50 votes to get up to match last year's voting. So please go let us know, what is the best premium or special ship that came out in 2024? It could be it could be a cruiser, destroyer, whatever you think the best ship was. Let me know, and that is what we're going to give away as the top award. It's like our best picture if this was the Oscars. Let me put that away. But what we've got here, first, we've got some, well, hang on. That's not even the right story. Our top story tonight is Blücher in the Dockyard. But first, let's just get into it, guys. And now, I have not read this article top to bottom, but I am somewhat aware of some of the things that are going on with aircraft carrier changes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for aircraft carrier changes in World of Warships. We've been talking about this for about, what is it, a year or maybe a little bit more now. Wargaming's done a couple of tests, and they're getting ready to do a closed test. This means not an open test for us, just regular players, but there will be, testers and folks like that will have access to trying this, which means it's getting closer to coming back to being available for our for regular players to check out. It says big changes are on the horizon for aircraft carriers. Earlier, we presented a concept aimed at addressing problems highlighted by the community over the past years. The first playtest we ran was meant to check the viability of the concept. After going forward or going through the feedback and the data that we gathered, we were satisfied with the results. Nevertheless, there's still a lot of work to do regarding balance, which definitely was obvious when they did the playtest before, as well as UI improvements. Now we are looking to polish the design as we aim to implement it on the live server this year. In a recent Waterline publication, that was the video, we watched that on YouTube recently. There is a video with me and Scott watching that on my channel if you guys want to check that out. Or of course you can go watch the Waterline without our commentary. We shared our plans to have a public test of the new AA and carrier mechanics in February. Since then, we had several internal tests, and based on the results of those, we decided to postpone the public test until the end of March or the beginning of April to make sure these technical issues were patched up. Yeah, the design aims. So these are always important to read and understand. We want to make sure we understand what is it that Wargaming's actually trying to do. Because I think a lot of times we know what we want Wargaming to do, but we don't often think, we don't pay attention to what they say. These are our goals. And I think it's important to understand those goals. We may not agree with the goals. And as we always point out, right, I have different goals for World of Warships than Wargaming does. And you guys do too, right? And so we have to understand the differences in those goals, where we are and where we're going. And then hopefully with those goals in mind, we can provide feedback and maybe get little micro steers on how that stuff will go. I don't know. After the first public test, we outlined additional improvements that we wanted to achieve. We wanted to make the design more intuitive by better informing ships when planes pose a threat to them and when they don't, by improving interactions between ships and aircraft and making them easier to understand. They wanted to make changes to some of the older systems tied to aircraft for better quality of life and provide room for future improvements. Well, that's ominous. Future improvements. Okay, so they wanted to make sure we understood when planes were scary and when they're not scary, and they want to improve interactions between ships. Now, improve, of course, is a little bit of a weasel word, but they wanted to make the interactions between ships and aircraft better in some way and easier to understand. Okay. Several important changes have been implemented since that last test. That's good, because I felt like the test was mechanically okay, but balance-wise, it was way off. I think that was understood on their part, but I feel like they didn't communicate that to players very well. Shell explosions, flak, have been completely removed. Wow. By itself, I don't think that's a good idea, but if they did other things to rebalance, that could be fine. The recon mode won't be restored while flying. It will be separate for each squadron and only restored while your squadron is not in active use. So I think what that means is it's going to force us to change the type of planes we're using if you want more recon mode. Recon mode is flying around when you can spot things, if I remember right. Manual AA, previously called Priority Sector, will combine old and new designs covering 360 degrees. So instead of one side of your ship or the other, it's going to do all sides, and it will buff AA damage. Defensive AA fire will not prevent planes from spotting anymore. Honestly, that's probably a good change. I think that was weird. And will instead work as it currently does on the live server. Okay, so Def AA is big boosted damage. So you get an initial boost of damage when you turn it on, and then you get additional damage for a duration. Wait, no. The initial boosted damage is manual AA, which used to be called Priority Sector. Def AA, I think, is just improved damage. Ships with defensive AA will also get a new consumable in the same slot. Okay, so you'll be able to swap Def AA for a consumable, which directly decreases incoming damage from aircraft and all types of torpedoes. Okay, so you got to turn that on. So if I'm about to get hit by a torpedo from a Shimakaze, I can turn on this consumable and take less damage? Okay, it's a little Final Fantasy Warships, but I'm listening, Wargaming. All right, Turbo. Let's take it easy. Let's take it easy. Opinion registered, though. I hear you. Let me keep going on this. I'm trying to take it in and understand it here. Patrol fighters, combat air patrol, and fighters cannot spot ships. I think that's a good change. It does make those fighters harder to use well. Because right now that's their that's the number one reason why I use fighters. Like when I deploy fighters as a CV, and I'm not a great CV player. When I deploy fighters as a CV, I'm doing it to spot a destroyer to get him killed. That's what I want to do. I haven't timed you out, Turbo. I just deleted the comment, man. I still want to hear your ideas. Just trying to direct the energy into some constructive comments. I gotcha. Yeah, I didn't. Okay, just making sure you understood. Various UI improvements have been implemented to make the mechanics easier to navigate, both for surface ships and carrier players. Okay, whatever. Hybrid ships will have their aircraft behave in the same way as those originating from aircraft carriers. Previously, travel was I'm flying real fast and I'm just trying to get somewhere, but I can't spot anything and I can't attack anything. But when I'm flying across the world as an aircraft carrier, I am not suffering the damage of AA. So I can fly directly to the place I want to be, and I can do it at top speed, which is, for a CV, that's great. They can't spot, though, which I think for DDs, that's great. Or for cruisers that might have gotten incidentally spotted, that's good. Attack mode, obviously, is attacking, and recon is trying to spot stuff. Each has its own goals and rules. Let's see what they say about them now. When you're in travel mode, your planes operate at high altitudes. You won't be able to spot enemy ships directly, so that stayed the same. Relying instead on spotting from your teammates to identify targets, just like a battleship, right? A battleship can't spot stuff at 17 or 20 kilometers, so they're relying on destroyers and cruisers and radar and things like that. You can still detect enemy aircraft. At the same time, your planes can be spotted by other planes and by surface ships. Hey, Asteria, how you doing? By the way, guys, I know that CVs get people's blood pressure going. There's a lot of energy in the room, I'm sure. So you know, let's just kind of keep our thoughts. If we got constructive statements, you can say negative things, but try to do so in a way that provides some why and isn't maybe too aggro. Something that wouldn't be rude to say at a restaurant to someone, if we can. Because again, I understand that there's a lot of feelings about carriers. I have them too, as a self-proclaimed destroyer main. So I'm with you guys. And then Asteri's playing the other side of the thing, right? Asteri's a CV main, right? And has concerns about what this does to CV play as it stands today. So I think we've got a lot of thoughts about this. And I want to just make sure that we're leaving room for everybody on the channel, whether you're on Twitch with me right now, or if you're watching on YouTube and you're going to jump down into the comments. Leave room for everybody to have their thoughts. Let's share those constructively and in a way where we can have an engaging conversation if we can. That would be great. Oh, Gorilla, now please. That's what we call trolling. All right, let's keep going. Planes move faster in this mode, which allows you to reach targets quickly and enjoy a more dynamic gameplay experience. Well, that's an opinion. You can additionally adjust the speed using the W and S keys. Okay. Honestly, if you were always locked in turbo mode, there would be times where you'd want to slow down so you could turn tighter and stuff like that. Which is kind of interesting. Planes are safe from AA when they are in travel mode, though they can still be damaged by fighters and interceptors. Non-player controlled aircraft, such as fighters, do not use this mode and remain vulnerable to AA at all times. So planes are safe from AA when they're in travel mode. They can still be targeted by fighters and interceptors. Non-player controlled aircraft, like fighters, are not in travel mode. Okay, so when you put a squad of fighters down, they're not in travel mode. They must be in whatever attack mode is, or maybe recon mode is. We'll see if it says anything about that later. Pressing F at high altitude will return the squadron to the carrier, so that's the same as it is now. There's some italicized stuff here. Brand says faster planes could mean that they run out of planes faster. Maybe. It also might mean because the travel is safe the whole time until you're ready to attack. Maybe it means they won't. I don't know. That's a good question, and I'm curious to see what the result of that will be. And that's what the testing is going to be about. You know, does that deplete planes faster? Will they need to rebalance the recharge rate, or will they need to rebalance the recharge rate the other way because they're not depleting planes as fast? And it'll certainly depend, I think, on player skill and ability to adapt to the new mechanics. Based on player feedback, we're bringing back the speedometer. Yes, I wanted them to have the speedometer. I was annoyed that that wasn't there. For better control of the aircraft, as well as enhancing the aiming UI to make it feel more like traditional flight simulators. Since the engine boost bar was removed and your ability to increase your speed is no longer limited, a new consumable that increases the maximum speed of the aircraft in all three modes will be introduced. Okay, so you'll have a maximum speed boost consumable instead of the whatever war emergency power is, or whatever they're calling. To better differentiate between modes, we added special UI and visual elements that will provide information about the current altitude of your planes. That's good, because we're going to need to know that. I need to know what altitude I'm at, because the way that I interact with planes, or ships I should say, will be different in each of those altitudes. Recon mode is a new tool specifically meant for spotting. When activated, a flight of planes will detach from your squadron. That's interesting, actually, because it means that not all of your planes will descend, but one flight will go down to spot opponents like planes currently can. However, your planes will become vulnerable to AA. You can activate it by pressing the Q button while in travel mode. Each squadron has a recon mode timer that depletes while in use. If the attacking flight in recon mode is destroyed, you'll switch back to the remaining squadron if any planes are left, and the timer stops. After that, you can start another recon run if there's more recon time left. This does sound a little bit complicated. To me, this reads like the rules of a board game, which always... Sarevna, no. The answer to your question. Sarevna says, can fighters still spot ships? The answer is no. This reads to me, again, like the rules of a board game. And you know how that's always really complicated until you've done it a few times? I'm wondering if it's not as bad in real life. I will say that the Q button thing, I did not understand in the last test. It didn't feel like it made sense to me. I'm hoping that it's a little clearer this time around, but we'll see. You can enter recon mode at any point as long as it has more than 0 seconds. So you have like an amount of recon time However, if you run out of time, the planes will automatically return to travel mode unless you begin an attack. In this iteration, we've made some UI improvements to help you understand the mechanics. The timer is displayed near the reticle. Here's the timer. It's on the right-hand side. So these planes, you can see they're dropping into recon mode. The text on the right-hand side of the reticle there turns green and says recon mode, and then the timer starts to run. The timer is displayed near the reticle and will turn red as the time is about to run out. The only way to replenish the timer is to return the planes to the carrier. And this encourages carriers to rotate their squadrons. That makes sense. Recon mode can't be immediately activated or deactivated. There's a delay to avoid dolphining. Yeah, because this is kind of similar to the way submarines go up and down. They need an amount of delay there so that the planes will suffer some pain if they choose to go up and down too fast. What about Russian CVs that only have one flight, says Thravna? I think that your one flight can go into recon mode and it can come out of recon mode. I think that's going to change the way the Russian CVs feel. Just spitballing here without having thought about this very much, they're going to have a harder time spotting for themselves. Whereas you could go down and spot with one squadron with with Midway, and then come back up and then go down and attack. Even if you got all your recon planes killed, you could go down and attack approximately where you thought the ship was before and still hit. But I think with the Soviet ships, you're gonna have a harder time because you won't be able to spot for yourself in that way. It says if you see a suitable target, you can start the attack from recon mode. However, it will require some prep time. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Does that kind of click with your thoughts there, Asteri? That's the only way I can see it making sense, but this is a big change, and I certainly am not the world's foremost expert on understanding how this is going to play out. How you doing? I see you. Okay, manual control of carrier guns. Everyone, this has been a big topic. I had an exchange on, I think it was on the official Discord with Angelic Cypher. Cypher and I were talking about this. He posted a nice little write-up with his thoughts, and oh, sorry, Asteri. And he posted a thought and then linked. He tagged me in a DM. He's like, "Hey, check this out. See what you thought." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went and read it, and he had some really good ideas, I think, about what he thinks. He's got some critical feedback as well. He doesn't like a couple of the items. One of the things he doesn't like is manual control of carrier guns. He feels like they should continue to have to use aircraft for their attack, which I thought was interesting. He's coming from a place of being a CV main. And he's like, you know what? I think that'll just make people upset. We should just not have the manual control. And I'm like, no way, man. I totally want the manual control. I think that's going to be a hoot. So it's kind of interesting. I'm surprised he did not think that was something that he wanted. When not piloting aircraft, you can take control of your aircraft carrier's secondary guns. Basically, your secondaries become main guns, if you will. For carriers with a mixed array or a mixed group of secondary armaments, you can only control whatever your largest caliber guns are. The smaller caliber guns remain automatic. If a carrier does not have secondary guns, then it is the same as it was before. It just doesn't have this option. I think there are a few carriers that don't have secondaries. When controlling a carrier, you must manually use the damage control party consumable. Once you launch your planes, the consumable will become automatic again. So you need to run your damage control party when you're running the guns. And when you're flying your planes, it'll still be automatic. That's a good compromise. As part of this change, the setting of fires on aircraft carriers was adjusted to be closer to those on battleships. Oh! Now they last longer and burn more damage. Carriers had special fire rules. I can't remember what they were. I put them in my video, though. In my video about fire chance, if you guys want to check that out. Or you can go to the World of Warships blog. Or not blog, but the wiki and read about it in there. Now they last longer and do more damage in total. But in turn, carriers cannot be relit on fire constantly, which led to higher damage compared to battleship fires. Yeah. Tactical, thanks for the gifted sub, man. Yeah, Cypher's a good dude. We did a fireside chat. We did a podcast episode together on my YouTube channel where we talked about carriers. It got a lot of spicy comments, if you can imagine. Okay, changes to surface ships. To give surface ships more ways to fight against aircraft, we've revamped existing AA tools and introduced some new ones. Manual AA defense reinforcement. Manual AA defense reinforcement can be activated when pressing O. It instantly deals a percentage of damage proportional to the attacking flight's health. That's the same way it is now. Additionally, it temporarily buffs all continuous AA damage, also the same way it is now. The effect will gradually get weaker over its duration. I don't remember if that's how it works now or not, if it fades or if it just stays constant until it expires, but that's interesting to note. In other words, manual AA should be used reactively to deal burst damage to enemy planes. And again, I recommend you do it that same way today. Automated AA defense reinforcement. Automatic AA is a new defensive tool meant to discourage aircraft from repeatedly targeting the same ship. Now, I am a destroyer guy, I'm a cruiser guy, I'm a little bit of a battleship guy. For me, I like the sound of this one. I can imagine this might make CV players a little concerned, and I think that's a valid concern, but let's take a look at it. Automatic AA is a defensive tool meant to discourage aircraft from repeatedly targeting the same ship basically over and over and over again. While your AA is shooting enemy aircraft, a special progress bar will passively charge up. Mechanically, it's pretty similar to combat instructions, although in this iteration the progress won't decay even if you don't damage enemy planes for a while. Okay, once your progress reaches 100%, a passive bonus to AA automatically activates, so you don't even have to do anything. So if it's already active, even if it's decaying, you got to wait for it to be all the way inactive again, and then it'll charge up again. Brand, I think this is new. This is a little bit different. So basically, if I'm a CV and I'm attacking you, and you're under attack and your guns are firing, you're building up a charge until it reaches this 100% number. Once it hits 100%, it automatically turns on and you get a bonus to damage against my planes. And if I'm just hell-bent on attacking you and I just keep sending in planes over and over again, like if we're on some island, I'm on one side of an island with a Soviet carrier and I just keep bombing you over the mountain and you're over there and I just keep hitting you, you're gonna get this boosted damage the whole time. While you're getting the boosted damage, after you've hit 100%, it will decay and you get less and less and less and less of a bonus until it's gone. Once it's gone, if I keep attacking you, you will start charging it up again. And when it hits 100% again, you're going to get that buff again. And while I keep attacking you, it's going to decay and it's going to decay and it's going to decay over and over and over again. When I'm not attacking you, it decays slower. In other words, it would last longer. Basically, it's trying to decay less so that when I do come back to attack you again, you'll still have some boost left over. All in all, this is a good thing for players who feel harassed by carriers. This is going to discourage carriers, or at least the idea is that it will discourage carriers from continuously harassing a single target, right? And it'll encourage carriers to distribute their damage. Will they do it? I don't know. Remains to be seen. We'll see how it's going to go. Well, Agincourt is still going to have a problem because Agincourt has no AA. So I feel like Agincourt is still fair game. It's still open season on Agincourt. Okay, defensive AA fire will remain unchanged from the way it works on the live server. We've chosen to preserve the original mechanic as it provides a familiar boosting experience with boosting AA. I think that's fine. Preparation for a strike. I wonder if that's what it's going to be called. A new consumable will be introduced for testing. Preparation for a strike that directly reduces incoming damage from rockets, bombs, and all types of torpedoes. Yes, even non-aerial. Okay, interesting. We want to provide more versatile tools for you to deal with carriers, so we're trying a different approach. For this test, the consumable will be available only for ships that have access to defensive AA fire in the same slot. So in other words, you got to choose, do I want defensive AA or do I want prep for a strike, right? Brace for Impact is a much better name. That's what I was thinking, Eskons. Yeah, I like that. Brace for Impact! This is interesting, and I think I could see, like, if you've got a battleship that has Def AA, which is not very many battleships, by the way, I could see somebody taking this, even if they're not worried about carriers, because they can resist, Shima torpedoes or Jaeger torpedoes or whatever. Imagine if you use this on a Jaeger torpedo and it did like 400 damage. I don't think it'll be that strong, but that's kind of cool. Here's the icon. It's a ship with a cool, like a shield on it. It looks pretty dope. Okay, other changes. Secondary aviation changes. To make things more consistent and to address a very popular feedback point from our community, patrol fighters, combat air patrol, and fighters will not be able to spot ships. So for Tsarevna, I was thinking the same thing, Skada. For Tsarevna, who asked earlier, will I still be spotted with fighters? No, you will not. This will make the spotting system even simpler and, more importantly, remove the spotting tool that was initially designed as an instrument against enemy aircraft. Due to these changes, Napoli and Napoli B will get spotting aircraft instead of a fighter and still have the opportunity to detect opponents while using the exhaust smoke generator. That's cool, I guess. The fighter, the ship-launched fighter is the worst consumable in World of Warships. Everyone knows it. I almost exclusively, use mine for spotting because I feel like it doesn't help me stop airplanes. So I don't know if there will be any adjustments to that. I think they're probably not getting there right away, but we'll see. All fighters, Tsarevna, will not spot now. So being up against an island, at least I think so. If somebody knows differently, let me know. But if you're up against an island and you pop a fighter to see the guy on the other side, that's not going to work anymore. You might see the AA firing, right, like we do, but you won't see the ship spotted. Bugger. Hey, bugger. UI improvements. To support these changes, some UI improvements are required. Now it will be much easier to see if planes pose any threat to you or not. For example, if you're controlling a battleship, a squadron in travel mode won't be considered a threat until it starts descending. At that moment, this applies only to controllable aircraft. If the aircraft is at a significant distance, its indicator color will be orange. If the aircraft is close to you, regardless of mode, it will turn red. When the aircraft starts descending, the indicator will have a bordered effect. I like these kinds of indicators. When we're playing World of Warships, we have a lot of things to look at. We're very, very busy. Our mind is doing things that we're not even thinking about. And so if we have the opportunity, especially because when you see an airplane icon on the screen, it's not always evident how close or far those aircraft are away. Yes, there's a range number on there. Maybe it says 20 kilometers. Maybe it says 4 kilometers. But when you just see the icon, you don't really know, how far away that is. Oh, we never look at the minimap, Gorilla. That's nonsense. So that'll help you understand which of those icons, which are spinning around you as you turn your guns and swing your camera around, are danger icons. Because you might see 2 or 3 different squadrons, or a fighter and a hybrid squadron and a CV squadron. And if only one of those is close to you, that's the only one you need to care about right now. And this is going to hopefully help with that. I think there's some merit here. I don't know if this is exactly what it should look like, but let's wait and see how it goes. Scott says, this all seems so simple. I mean, I do believe there's some complexity here for sure. Changes to concealment. Lastly, we'd like to introduce some balanced changes to the concealment system that should benefit the overall gameplay. Detectability by air and by periscope for all changed for all ships. It can no longer be more than 10 kilometers. Now that's just for periscope, just for airplane spotting. Detectability penalty from being on fire has been unified for both surface and air detectability. Fires now universally increase a ship's detectability by 2 kilometers. Was that not the case for airplanes? That was how I thought surface ships were, but apparently that was not the system for aircraft. That's interesting. Detectability range of Japanese torpedo bombers is increased by 2.5 kilometers, so that's a nerf to Japanese torpedo bombers. Detectability range of depth strike airstrikes, or depth charge airstrikes, fighters and patrol fighters has been increased, so that's a nerf. Detectability range will not increase when firing main battery guns. By air. Air detectability range will not increase when you fire your guns. Okay, I guess we'll see how those go. It flares by 3 kilometers, says Wisconsin, in the current game, air detection. There we go. Folks, again, I know this is a top, and sometimes like when there's a lot of CV news, sometimes I don't want to do it because I know that people will freak out. I appreciate you guys. I think I didn't have a chance to read everything, but I think you guys were pretty civil. I'm very interested in this discussion. I think this is really important for us to make sure we're giving feedback. And if you don't know where to give feedback, shouting it into my stream is a great place to relieve a little tension, as long as you're keeping it respectful and hopefully somewhat constructive, with legitimate things. We are way past the freak out stage, says Hujam. But if you want to give feedback to Wargaming, there are dedicated feedback channels in the official Wargaming Discord. And I think there might be some forum channels for feedback as well, too. Please go and provide feedback there. Make sure if you've got an idea, If you've got a thought, if you got a thing you don't like, if you got a thing you do like, or if you have you guys should have totally done it this way, definitely go and make sure you communicate that to Wargaming, but give reasons. I don't like this because I feel it will create this situation, which I think sucks for these reasons. And then come back and say, I think this would be better, and these are the things I think it would be better for sure. There's a lot in this dev blog and a ton to talk about. Askan says this is a dev blog, which is a big info drop. There will be a public test, and we are hoping that you guys will give it a shot and give some feedback for sure. I feel like my hope for that test, and really and this is a hope, I don't have any inside view, but my hope for the test is that it will be a little bit more balanced than last time. And that I really hope that people will try it. I know that there's going to be a lot of people who try it just to be spiteful, and there's going to be people who try it out of genuine curiosity. So definitely try to keep an open mind and try to provide some legitimate feedback if you can. I know one of my problems is I'm guilty of trying stuff but not offering up feedback. And so that's a thing where I've got to do better about that. I just got a message today from the Steel Hunters guys who were like, hey, did you fill out our survey? And I was like, no. Hang on, I filled out one. This one's a closed test, Saravna, and then I think in here it said at the end of April or maybe in May they're going to do a public test. So the closed test is happening soon, and then the public test is coming later. So keep your eyes open. There's going to be an open a public test as well. All right, let's go to story number 3. Now, story number 3 I know a little bit about because I had a lucky opportunity to get over there and talk about some of these new ships that are coming to the game. We are getting a new American large cruiser. That's a big old cruiser with 60-second fires called the Cambridge. This has 6 305mm guns that are quite accurate. Yeah, 6 305s. She packs a heavy caliber punch for a cruiser. She makes up for the small number of guns by enjoying standard cruiser dispersion, not battle cruiser dispersion. And that's kind of it. Sarevna says, what's the gimmick? I actually think Cambridge is a pretty straightforward cruiser. So 6 305s, cruiser dispersion, not battle cruiser dispersion. So that means that your max dispersion here is 144 meters. That's the long end of the ellipse. She's got a sigma of 2.05. So the gimmick really is accuracy. So she's a pretty accurate boat. She has no radar, but she does have a hydroacoustic search, which she can also swap out for Def AA. And then she's got a super heal, a specialized repair team, which is going to have a 20-second duration, healing 854 seconds per HP per second, over 80 seconds. So this is a pretty simple, sledgehammer of a cruiser as written. And of course, I think the super heal is going to make her slightly unique, which I think could be a bit of fun. But this is not a complicated instrument. This is a blunt force device. I think Cambridge could be interesting once people get their little mitts on it. The Nanning does not have a picture. Nanning is a version of the Hayate for the Pan-Asian line. Nanning's got Soviet-style ballistics. So about 20,500 hit points. She's got 630mm Soviet guns that shoot about 11.8 kilometers. They got 950 meters per second initial muzzle velocity. So these are going to be flat shells, but a 4.3 second reload. So if you're thinking this is a Lucian, it's not going to be a Lucian. Lucian has 2 guns with a faster reload. The DPM, I haven't done the math, but I feel like Lucian's going to outshoot this one. You guys can check me and let me know in the chat if you have done the math. No heal on this one also. It's got an engine boost, a smoke generator, DCP, and a Def AA, all in independent slots, so you don't have to make any choices there. You just get all of them. And then she runs deep water torpedoes that reach out 10 kilometers at a slow speed, 61 knots, and do about 16,000 damage. So the concealment on this one's going to be about 6.5. Full disclosure, I think this boat's going to need a little bit more to be powerful. I've been wrong about that kind of stuff in the past, but I'm not necessarily seeing a strong enough ship here. Although maybe with the smoke generator, she'll be okay, right? 6.5 kilometers is not the stealthiest, but with the smoke generator, she might be able to do some smoke firing. So time will tell. Who Jam says, it's a Hayate with the worst reload in Russian guns. If you run into a Lucian, you might die before you can turn around. Right. That's a concern for sure. I do worry a little bit about the DPM and things, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm hoping that Nanning gets a buff in testing personally. Here's the Irrisistible. She's so fine. Irrisistible is a Vanguard class battleship. So we know Vanguard as a tier 8 premium here in the game today. But this one, instead of having big old battleship guns, has 16 234s with a reasonable shotgun blast of accuracy. The Irrisistible is interesting. It's kind of part of that small gun meta. It's your Mecklenburg. It's your not Marblehead, but your Marlboro. It's an odd and small gun kind of battleship. These are similar to the guns in size that we have on something like Prinz van Oranje, but nowhere near as accurate. But you get 16 of them instead of 12. So it's going to be kind of interesting. People are calling it the British Illinois. It's like bigger guns than Illinois, but not by that much. So we'll see how she goes. 76,800 hit points, 20.4 kilometer range, 16 234 millimeter guns with a 16% fire chance. Velocity's decent at 841. She's not like turbo fast, but that's pretty good for battleship guns. The dispersion maximum 219 on the long edge of the ellipse with a 1.8 sigma. 1.8 sigma with 16 guns is pretty good. Marby, I think, is like a 1.5 or a 1.6 sigma. I think it was 1.4 when it came out, but it got buffed. This one's got a much better sigma than Marblehead, or I keep saying Marblehead, Marlboro, which will be cool. Oh, I'm sorry. This one is Australia. It's a Commonwealth. Did I say it was British? It's British-esque. So she's going to be kind of intriguing in the right circumstances. The Dutch battle Willem de Eerste, I have no idea how to say that, is a tier 10 Dutch battleship. This, I believe, is our first Dutch battleship in the game. And wouldn't you know it, she's got herself a long-range airstrike. She's based on the Duncan hull. And she may seem a little undergunned for tier 10. Boop, 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 boop. She's got 9 419s. Let's just pop open the parameters here. She's got 75,000 hit points, 9 419s with a sigma of 1.9, dispersion of 282 meters on the long edge of the ellipse. So that's a little bit chunky with a slower velocity than we just saw in the previous one, 792 meters per second. The main battery is a 28-second reload time. So I think the guns will be fine. I don't think they're going to blow your mind or knock your socks off. She does have a long-range airstrike. Where is it? Airstrike, HE. 120 seconds for the reload. Yeah, 2 flights, 12 aircraft in the flight, flying 15 kilometers, dropping 6 bombs in the payload. So it's going to be whatever 6 times 12 is for bombs. 72 bombs. 6,800 damage, which is pretty wild. Pretty punchy airstrike. And Gaishu on the stream yesterday pointed out, hey man, if you are wounded and trying to heal up, then I think you're going to be able to use your airstrikes to stealth strike stuff. If you've got a target within range that's stationary enough, you could use the bombs to push a ship forward on an island so you can hit it with your main battery. I think you'll have a reasonable ability to combine your main battery and the airstrikes to good effect. Andy the Cupid CC of the EU server is here. How you doing, Andy? Andy says, I think it's going to be similar to North Carolina for leading the shells. I think you're approximately right. Looking at these numbers and not having North Carolina's all memorized, I think that sounds pretty close to right. 792 meters per second sounds very American battleship. Guys, if you don't follow Andy the Cupid, go check him out. He plays late NA times and early EU times. Check him out. And then the cruiser Gambia. We've been waiting for the model for Gambia to be ready. Gambia is currently in the game in testing as the River Gambra. And now we've got the model for it. Gambia's claim to fame is she is the only premium Fiji to have 4 main battery turrets, and that is exciting. And then down here they've got a destruction effect. This one is called the Golden Ray, and we'll see more. I'm curious how high this ray is. Does this come out of a cloud in the sky? Like, how high is that? Or does it come up from the ocean? I don't know what it does, but I am curious to see how it looks. And there are other colors which we'll see in our next story. Let's go to our top story today. Our top story, Blücher Germans, help me out with the pronunciation. Blücher is has got a from the bottom of the sea camo, similar to what we have as the yellow top Bismarck, also a German ship, of course. I like these sunken ship camos, and I'm excited to see another one come into the game, especially on an upcoming Dockyard ship, which should be available at a pretty decent discount for players. We'll have to see what the cost and what the missions wind up looking like for the Dockyard, but we'll keep our peepers on that, see what's going on. Let's check it out. So the second ship of the Hipper class of cruisers to be completed, Blücher, was among the main participants in the German invasion of Norway and Denmark in 1940. Stop. As the flagship of the squadron intended to capture Oslo, the cruiser was sunk in an engagement with Norwegian coastal fortifications on 9 April 1940. Stop. In-game, Blücher excels at punishing broadsides, as her main battery features improved dispersion and deadly AP shells with improved Recon angles. Hey, I didn't know there were improved Recon angles. And flat ballistics. Enemy cruisers, sponsored by Blücher. Oh, Scott. Enemy cruisers caught slacking will find themselves in a world of hurt unless there are shore-based torpedoes around. Even battleships should take care not to expose too much side for dealing with enemy ships. Blücher is also armed with HE shells, which have improved penetration, as we've come to expect from the Germans. The ship has improved armor in her extremities, and at a thickness of 27 millimeters, and access to an engine boost. Okay, engine boost Hipper. All right, does this have details? Where's the details? Wargaming, give me the details. Be sure to keep, when captaining Blücher, be sure to keep it medium and longer ranges. The Dockyard is broken into 20 phases, which can be, 18 of which can be completed through combat missions, so you're gonna have to buy 2 for money. Remember, Dockyards are not, yes, Warland, I'm definitely wearing pants. Dockyard phases, remember, Dockyards are discounted ships. They're not free ships, right? So if you're going to grind the Dockyard, you got to play a lot of World of Warships, and you got to spend at least some money. And I think it's going to tell us here how much is going to be the cost. So it says each phase can be purchased for 2,000 dubs. So if you buy them at the end, it's going to cost you 4,000 dubs. So it's $16 because you got to buy 4,000 dubs worth of things. 3,200 dubs is $12 and a little bit more, about 13 bucks. So a little bit cheaper if you buy the booster pack. That's what I would recommend. Of course, that means you got to commit. You got to buy that early, and you got to commit to doing that earlier. The cruiser Gambia will be your intermediate reward at Phase 8. So even if you don't want to pay for Blücher, you can get a free premium at Phase 8. That's awesome. Unlike her sister ship, Fiji, Gambia features HE shells, and a short burst smoke generator, making her an excellent deterrent for battleships that are a little bit too aggressive. And I think I see back here in the back, I think I see torpedo launchers. So they may not have taken away the torpedoes like they did from the Mysore. That's kind of interesting. I like getting a premium Fiji. I didn't know this was it. This was this until just now, because I did not have a chance to pre-read this article. Unbreakable line. The captain no longer has to go down with the ship. Oh, is this the new respawn? I don't know if this is going to be a big smash hit or not, but I'm interested to try it and see what it's all about. I think that some people are going to make fun of people who like this, but they'll be like, oh, people like to just hit W. Yeah, hitting W is fun. You should also be able to play tactically and cleverly. Efficiency badges with 14.3. Efficiency badge is such a boring and lame name. Why did they call them this? I thought they had a cooler name before. Marks of Excellence and whatever the other name was. After completing a random battle, the base XP you earn is tracked and compared against the recent average performance of players globally aboard the same ship that you just played on. Depending on how well you performed in comparison to fellow players, you can receive 1 or 4 ranks in an efficiency badge. And we've seen this. This is common. They have this in World of Tanks. It's kind of neat, actually. If you really like a ship and you want to just get expert at it, this is a thing that can help you measure your expertise. I suppose that's possible, Grant. Yeah. I don't know. That's the way like first-person shooters often have like a safe area where you can spawn in, although snipers will sit on hills and shoot into your spawn like a bunch of dirtbags sometimes. You can view your efficiency badges for each ship displayed in your profile summary, as well as in the post-battle screen for the ship you went to battle with. Additionally, you can view other players' profile summaries and see their efficiency badges for each ship. Only the highest ranked badge for every one of your ships will be displayed. So if you upgrade your badge, it will replace the old one. Okay. Efficiency badges are available for every tier 5 ship and up in random battles, and with 4 different levels: top 1%, 5%, 20%, 50%. So you'll probably get this one first. I mean, you might get this one right away if you're amazing, but yeah, you'll probably have some of these lower level ones, but as you upgrade, you'll get higher and higher, which is pretty cool. Once attained, you can't lose a badge. So what people will be able to do is they can go and target grinding these efficiency badges on every ship that they are interested in, which is kind of neat. So I could see people wanting to go and just claim these on lots. I have all the tier 10 1% expert efficiency badges. You'd have to be some sort of mega Chad troll to go do that, but wow. Somebody could want to do that, which would be really exciting, actually, if somebody actually did that. I think somebody might go pick, their top 10 ships or something and do it, and that'd be pretty cool. I would love to get the efficiency badge for Vampire 1. Which is pretty good. So useless, I don't think I don't know, but I don't think you need a minimum number of badges. You just have one game, and it compares that against, let's say, the last, I don't know what it's really going to be. The way it works in World of Tanks is like, and again, I'm going to make up numbers here, but it takes your game, and say you go through and you have a 2,500 base XP game. It looks at the last, let's say, 30 days worth of games of everybody. And if your 2,500 base XP game is in the top 5%, then you get the first grade efficiency badge, right? So you can play one battle in a ship and get the expert badge if you want, but you have to be amazing, and you compare against all of the players that have played the same ship in the last period of time. I don't know what the period is going to be. So it doesn't matter how many battles you've played. You just need to have one amazing battle and compare against the entire global population of World of Warships. And then down here, we've got a couple of destruction effects. We saw the golden ray on the first one. We've got a silver ray here on the top and a red ray down here. And then they go and do this. Oh, Wargaming. Why are you announcing these already? Suzuya Golden. Now, I don't know about Suzuya, but I'll tell you this. I like Japanese cruisers. So, will I like Suzuya? Will I need a Suzuya Golden? Why, Wargaming? Oh, but I know I like ZF6. Come on, guys. Why? Clout ships, whale ships. So we got the 2 new golden ships announced. The Suzuya Golden, which the regular Suzuya is in testing right now. So obviously the player base has not been exposed to this ship just yet. But boy, things are golden. I like that these exist. I like that they're rare though. And if we're gonna do them every 6 months, I feel like that sort of cheapens the golden concept.
Beauty part is you can't get to the next level, so the kids keep coughing up quarters,
And then we've got a permanent Japanese lacquer camo for Asashio. This looks great, by the way. I think this is a beautiful camo. I want them to make this camo available for lots of boats. And Asashio is one of those boats that people will probably want to get this camo for. We got a few captains here. This guy's got a sword. Might be worth checking out on your own time. There's also some unique containers. The Daruma, I don't know that I'm pronouncing that. Daruma containers. The red Daruma premium container, black Daruma, and gold Daruma premium containers. These are coming out as part of Golden Month. The contents of these are down below. Folks, I am tired of talking. I've been talking a lot as we went over all of the carrier stuff, all of those new ships and all of this. So I'm going to leave that as an exercise for you guys to go and review on the dev blog. Please enjoy the dev blog. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this on YouTube and you'd like to come be a part of the live show, you know where we do it, twitch.tv/ClydePlaysLive. We'd love to have you. Of course, hit me up with your comments down below on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch with me right now, we're about to do a giveaway. We're going to go back and play a little bit more World Warships before I go to bed tonight. So come with me, and we will go back and do that. Everybody, take care, be cool, be nice, goodbye!
This has been the news on Clyde Plays Live.